Are you looking for a tank that is both fun to play while being able to eat damage and dish out damage with ease? Then look no further. This is how to play Groot. In this video, I'll cover Groot's basic abilities, Groot's playstyle, and tips and tricks you should know about when playing the character, whether it be quick play or competitive. Now I can hear you saying, why should we listen to this guy? And that's a fair question. So here are some credentials, just to ease your mind so you know I'm not a fraud. Now I've played an awful lot of Groot. I've peaked Grandmaster 2 as well as hitting Grandmaster itself multiple times, and I have over 24 hours on Groot just in comp alone. That's not counting quick play. So an awful lot of time spent on Groot. I love him. He's great. Now make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know if this guide helped you or if we missed anything. You Groot players, I'm talking to you. Let me know if there's anything I missed. Without further ado, let's get into Groot's basic abilities. So Groot's first ability is his primary fire called Vine Fire. He does 70 damage at a 20-meter range, which is quite a big range for Groot, and a lot of damage to dish out. He kills squishies in 4 hits, which is crazy. 4 hits and those healers, those pesky healers in the back are dead. This means good pressure. Of course, you're not going to be playing like this all the time, but when you're on Groot, you do have the ability to be able to just run at their healers a little bit if the opportunity arises. 4 hits is crazy. They're insta-dead, basically. So it's good pressure, and it forces those healers to use utility. For example, Cloak and Dagger, it might force her to use her little shadow thing where she flies away. So it's good that you can, as a tank, pressure the healers. You're not just restricted to sitting in place. Now, in terms of how to use the Vine Fire, when you're at close range, or if the target stood still, which of course the target is probably not going to be stood still, but when you're at close range, you can just hit the target like it's a hit scan character. So you just aim at the enemy and the Vine Fire will hit them. Now, of course, Marvel Rivals is like a third-person game, and the camera is actually over the shoulder, which means sometimes aiming can be finicky. So, if the enemy is moving to the right, you want to lead your shot. As you can see, leading the shot will hit them. So, it's like they're moving into your vine. This is because the camera is over the left shoulder. So if you aimed at them while they're moving right, it's going to miss them quite a lot of the time. Now, if the target's moving left, you can just treat them like a hit scan and it will hit them. Again, this is because the camera is over the left shoulder. Moving on to Groot's second ability, it's his Spar Bomb, one of the big important pieces of his kit. The Spar Bomb does 55 initial damage when you drop it on the enemy's sorry heads, and it does an additional 10 damage from the spores that come off of the bomb. As you can see, the little spore things that travel off of it. Now, the Spar Bomb is best paired with Groot's Thorn Lash Wall. So as you can see, when you do damage with the Spar Bomb, it will activate the Thorn Lash Wall, which of course is good because that means extra damage onto the enemies. As we'll get into in a second, the walls are some of the most important kit on Groot, without a shadow of a doubt. To get more in depth with the Thorn Lash Wall, it has 250 health. You can have 3 at a time up on any given map. Anything past that will start destroying the oldest wall that you placed. This is the main combat wall for Groot. It does not play like his Ironwood wall. The Thorn Lash Wall is for the heat of battle. It's for dishing out big damage, as this wall does do 60 damage per second, which is crazy. It is massive. So 60 damage per second, and the wall does AoE. So if there is multiple targets in front of the wall, it is going to hit all the targets, not just one of them, which is crazy. Next up is another important part of Groot's kit. This is the Ironwood Wall. Now, the Ironwood Wall has 600 health. As you can see on the left side of your screen, that is where that is indicated. Now, important thing to note as Groot, if you look just around you, just in front here, you have a green ring around the character. Now this indicates when you're in range of your ironwood wall. So as you can see, when it crosses the line at the front, it activates the wall. And on the left side, the wall's now glowing because I'm in range. This means that the wall is now awakened and we can start using it to its full potential. Now to activate this ironwood wall, you have to be in range of it, as I've just said. And this one, unlike the Thornlash wall, will activate when you or an ally deals damage. That's all you have to do. Place the wall, be in range, deal damage to enemies. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, I now have 1100 health, which is crazy. You pair that with the wall itself, that's 1700 HP on Groot, which is just crazy. 1700 HP on one character just feels criminal, and that's not even counting his Thornlash walls, which have 250 health each. So yeah, you're going to be able to tank an awful lot of damage with Groot. Finally, we come to Groot's last bit of kit, which is his ultimate. Now, Strangling Prison is a projectile-based ultimate, which means when you fire it out, it can be blocked quite easily by the likes of Strange, Magneto, people with shields, anyone who can get away in time, especially if you don't shoot it from a close distance. That's just the cons of having it being a projectile ult. Now, what the ult does is when you fire down the ultimate, it will drag everybody to the center of it, and then it will start damaging them, like so. And as it pulls them all to the center, it grabs a hold of them, and it ticks down the damage like that. Now, what I like to do when I ult is you can either place the wall beforehand, or you can ult first, then place the wall. So what you can do, guys, is you can ult, wall, and then just do something like that. And then obviously, because the damage is ticking away with the ultimate, the enemies are going to be getting damaged like so. Now, I do like to put the wall down first, because if you ult the wall and it'll attach them to the wall, like drag them onto it, then the wall will start whipping the ever-living shit out of them. And that concludes all of Groot's kit. Overall, very, very strong and definitely an S tier tank in my book. Moving on to Groot's playstyle. Now, Groot is a mainliner. He's the big daddy tank. So you do not want to be going off and flanking the enemy team. You can in certain situations, but it is very specific on the situation you can do that. You always need another tank if you're going to do that, and if you are doing it, it has to be the correct decision, because if you try to flank the enemy team and you die or you get isolated, your team is now down a tank who has massive HP and can soak so much damage. Now make sure when you are playing Groot, you are using the walls to your advantage. They're the main part of his kit, and they allow you to sort of terraform the map to kind of make it your little playground in a way. It can be very annoying for enemies, but keep in mind this can also be very annoying for teammates. Don't just leave walls hanging around. If you, for example, place them in a fight on a convoy, and then you've moved past and you've advanced through the map, any walls you leave behind could stop healers healing you, or they could get in the way of teammates trying to fall back. So make sure if you don't need that wall down anymore, you're retrieving the wall. Now, a big tip I like to do when I'm playing Groot is at the start of a fight, you can always, of course, place the ironwood wall in front of you to help block lines of sight, soak the damage up on that initial fight. When that initial fight has happened and you've moved through the map, where if it's on the convoy or whether it be domination, and the enemy has, let's say you've team wiped them, they're coming back off spawn, you can hide your ironwood wall off somewhere close, but in a sneaky spot or behind a wall or something, and then rather it being out in the open for the enemy to destroy, you are then benefiting from that extra health from the ironwood wall the entire time throughout that fight, constantly getting overhealed, rather than the enemy team just destroying it instantly and you having to wait the cooldown for it to come back. Now, in terms of the Thornlash walls, you always want to basically just be spamming these when you get them. Spam them behind the enemies so that you can Thornlash them instantly, middle of the fight. They won't know what's hit them if they're in a team fight and suddenly they're just getting whipped in the back. This is also a double whammy, because not only does it damage them, obviously, but it also blocks line of sight behind them, so their healers can't heal them if there's two big walls in the way. So it gives them something extra to focus on middle of the fight, when usually they'd just be healing or DPS would just be damaging your team. Well, now they have a big wall in the way that they need to get rid of. It's just something extra to think about, and these walls start to add up if you don't destroy them. It happens all the time in comp, especially on my own team. When they have an enemy Groot and teammates just leave the walls, it can get very dangerous very quickly. Lastly, in the playstyle, make sure you don't forget that in close range, you do have Groot's melee. Now, this is a three-pronged combo melee, so once you get to the third melee in the combo, you do like a big slam, which will knock the enemy up, which is good for close range fights. It's good for fighting people like Strange, who are annoying with their shield. Now, this does have to be in quickish succession, otherwise the third attack in the combo just won't do it anymore, and it will go back to the starting point of the combo. So make sure you don't hang around too long to do the combo, but if you're just pairing it in between hits, then you will get the combo off. Now, moving into little tips and tricks while you're playing Groot. Cloak's blind will shorten the distance that you can place your wall, so try not to get hit by that blinding wall that Cloak can throw out at you. Groot wall one-shots penny nests. You just have to make sure that you hit the nest first, and it will give her the full cooldown on her penny factory. All you have to do is just place the wall on top of the nest, like under it. The wall will rise up and smash the nest to pieces. Like I said, just make sure that you've hit the nest first. You or a teammate, it just has to have been weakened. The same also works on Nemo's squids. It's important to note you cannot do this trick on rocket revives. It just doesn't work. I don't know why you'd think it would, but it just doesn't. So don't try it with rocket revives. Another good tip for when you're trying to escape fights is you can actually wall behind you when you're running away. Just look down at the floor, place the wall, and either walk or jump over the wall. Jumping is probably more efficient, just so you don't accidentally get caught on the wall. But this is helpful if you're trying to escape, if some of your team have died and you need to get out of the fight. Just keeps you from getting shot in the back. On the same topic of using the wall, you can also use Groot's wall to gain height. Now, this is important for if you need to get to any high ground, if you want to make a little bit of a flank play, that specific situation arises, or even if you need to get a teammate up somewhere. Now, placing the walls vertically like this is taller than if you were to place ramps. So whereas ramps can be useful, placing walls vertically is useful for if you need to get higher up. You can also use Groot's wall to block Jeff ults. You can use it to negate Namor ults. You can use it to also mitigate Thor's ult and lessen the damage that does. This works just by placing the wall directly in front of you, separating yourself from the ultimate. It's almost like breaking line of sight. Jeff simply just won't swallow you. Namor's whale won't do anything to you, and Thor will still damage you, I believe, but it will highly mitigate that damage that is done to you. And that's all I have for today. That is how to play Groot. Let me know in the comments down below if I missed anything. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Make sure that you stick around for more Marvel Rivals guides, and I'll see you in the next one.